Hey y'all, I'm Rylan. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about some horror books that I really want to read in 2021. For those of y'all who don't know, thriller and horror books are like kind of my favorite, but one thing that I have recently realized is although I say that horror is one of my favorite genres, I feel like it is, but I hardly ever rate a horror book more than 3 stars. And I think it's mostly because I never get like scared when I read horror. So like, I just feel let down after every horror book that I read. I think the highest rating that I've given to a horror book was 4 stars when I read My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. And that wasn't even a scary book, it was just fun. Like, it was like a campy horror book. So like, is horror actually one of my favorite genres? I don't know, but I'm gonna continue to claim that it is because I do read horror a lot. So but anyway, yeah, so let's talk about some horror books that I really want to read this year. The first horror book that I want to read is The Shining by Stephen King. Now let me say really quickly that I don't like Stephen King's books very much. I've read 3 of them and 2 of them were 1-star ratings. So oops, I read it and didn't enjoy it. I gave that book 1 star. It was awful, like, sorry, but I didn't like it. It was not for me. And Stephen King just makes me feel very, very uncomfortable sometimes, like as a woman. Like, he makes me feel uncomfortable just the way that he writes his women and the stories. I don't know if this book will be the same way, but if it is, then I think this might be the end of my Stephen King reading that I do. It is about a man named Jack who starts a new job at this hotel, and I guess something's not right, and that's all I know. So never seen the movie, probably never will watch the movie unless I happen to love that book. The second horror book that is on my list to read this year is The Woman in the Dark by Vanessa Savage. This book is about a man and wife who recently moved into this new beachside house where Patrick, the husband, grew up because his wife Sarah has spiraled into a depression, according to the back of the book. And I guess the house that they move into has a dark past, and I think Sarah finds herself in the middle of it. So it sounds creepy. The cover is just whew, like, that's kind of terrifying with the hands and the dirt, and I don't know, it looks creepy. So this is another horror book that I want to read this year. The third book on my list to read I wouldn't actually consider to be a horror book. It's actually a memoir, but because it has horror elements in it, I added it to this list, and that is In the Dream House. This is a memoir about a woman. I've talked about it in my recent book haul video. It is about a woman who was in a very toxic and abusive relationship, and so she tells her own story, but like using horror elements. So we have like a haunted house and like other stuff, which is why I added it to this list, because it is a memoir, which I want to read more nonfiction this year, but it has those spooky elements that I think will like make this a good stepping stone into me trying to read more nonfiction / memoirs this year. So I am very excited for this one. Next we have Horrorstör by Grady Hendrix. I have read My Best Friend's Exorcism and The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I read both of those books last October and enjoyed them. My Best Friend's Exorcism was definitely superior, and I still enjoyed The Southern Book Club's Guide. I rated that book 3 stars, but it was still good for the most part, especially once I like got farther into the book. But yeah, this is Horrorstör. This is like not a graphic novel, but like there's pictures in it, so like it looks like it's gonna be a really easy read. It like is formatted like an IKEA catalog, I believe. It takes place in Ohio, which is where I'm from. Yeah, and like the store that some of these people work at is weird because stuff happens like overnight and they don't know what's going on. Like furniture gets broken or like moved around and stuff like that. So I'm really excited. Like, look at how creepy that one picture is. Ooh. And then in the back we got creepy hands coming out of stuff. So this is highly anticipated book for me. Next is a YA horror / fantasy novel, and that is Dread Nation. This is considered to be young adult fantasy horror because there's zombies in it, so I assume that's why it's like has that horror element in it. It's a dystopian novel as well, I believe. That's all that I know about it, but I've heard good things. I was actually supposed to read it last October, but I didn't, so oops. Yeah. In this new America, however, the battle for survival is as political as it is personal, and the restless dead, it would seem, are the least of her problems. So this one sounds creepy. The final horror book that I have specifically on my list of like really wanting to read very soon, maybe even in March, is Brother by Anaya Alborn. I read Within These Walls by this author last year, enjoyed it. It wasn't horror though, so like I didn't love it, but it was still good. It was about a cult, so it was fun and enjoyable, and I liked it. This one is about this family, I think, who like captures or like kidnaps people and like tortures them in their basement, and the whole family does it together. But one day the brother, I think he starts to like realize that what his family does is not right. Yeah, so it sounds really creepy and really messed up, but I cannot wait to read this. My sister got it for me for Christmas, and honestly I'm ready for it. I've heard there's like one scene involving McDonald's that's really gross, but everybody always craves McDonald's after reading it, so like well, I don't know, maybe that's not about this book, but there's one horror book that makes people crave McDonald's even though like the scene involving McDonald's is really gross. So we'll see if I like this one. I'm hoping I really do. It sounds creepy, so my expectations are high, so let's hope I like it. So yes, those are 6 horror books that I want to read this year. I want to read more than 6 horror books, but those were 6 books that I had already sitting on my TBR cart. I also have like a few more Stephen King books, but like I'll give The Shining a chance and we'll see what happens after that. But yes, if you have any horror book recommendations, feel free to comment down below. I love finding new books, especially when they're thriller or horror books. So if you have any recommendations, comment down below. If you like this video, please like and subscribe for more content, and I will see y'all next week.